So Samsung just quietly launched a new rectangular watch, and now that I've been using it for about 2 weeks, I actually really like it, which makes you wonder, why did Samsung keep this launch so quiet? And when I first opened it, I had a ton of questions about this device, like, does it run WearOS? Because most other WearOS watches are round. How accurate is it? How did Samsung manage to give it a 13-day battery life? And a bunch of other questions like that. So this right here is the brand new Samsung Galaxy Fit3, a name that may be familiar to some enthusiasts who might remember the old Samsung Galaxy Fit lineup from a couple years ago, but this device actually competes a little more directly with the Galaxy Watch6 in many regards. Like, it has over 100 different activities tracked, it has a full Samsung Health app, it has a 1.6-inch AMOLED display, sleep tracking, weather, media controls, remote shutter, and like a lot more. Basically all the essentials that I would want in a smartwatch. Oh, and did I mention it's only $65? Alright, so that was enough to get my attention, and I bought it. So let's start off with that first question of what operating system does this run? Does it run WearOS? The answer is actually no, it doesn't run WearOS. Instead, Samsung made their own operating system for this, which allows it to get a longer battery life, a much longer battery life, despite having a larger display and still constant biometric tracking. I'll talk about my experience with the battery life a little bit later in the video, but I mean, spoiler, it was really good. So let's take a look at the UI though, just kind of show you, even though it's not running WearOS, it's still very familiar and it looks a lot like the Galaxy Watch6 interface. So from the watch face right here, you can tap and hold and that will change the watch face. You have a bunch that you can load from your phone. If we swipe from the right to the left, that'll go through our different tiles, and we have very familiar ones here. Samsung Health, we can start workouts. You have your sleep from last night. We've got weather. You have your calendar, playback controls, other things like that, even cycle tracking as well. And like I have calorie tracking over on the last one. If we press the button on the right, I should just say the only button on here, that'll bring us back to home. And if we swipe from the left side, that brings us into our notifications. Now, any notification you get, you can get notifications from any app, by the way. You can control that on your phone, which ones are enabled. But if you look at a text, for example, I can tap on the text, I can reply. And if I reply to the text, though, one thing you'll notice is that this does not have a microphone or a speaker. So I can only, I can't do any kind of dictation. I can't answer phone calls with this. And I don't have a keyboard on here. So I only have quick replies. Not really a big deal because I have a ton of quick replies here, and for a lot of text from a small screen like this, I think that usually gets the job done. Then if we swipe down from the top, you have our little quick access settings right here, and so this drawer has like a flashlight which turns the entire screen white, pretty useful. We have Find My Phone, which will make my Galaxy phone ring, of course. We also have theater mode, airplane mode, do not disturb mode. We have a water mode, so this will kind of deactivate the screen if you're showering, swimming, something like that. We have our brightness, and of course we have our settings as well, and the volume thing. Now, the volume control doesn't actually, like I said, this doesn't have a microphone or a speaker, so it only has haptics. That's going to be how you get your notifications. It'll vibrate on your wrist, which personally is what I usually use anyway. I don't want sounds coming from my smartwatch. Oh, and from the watch face then, if you just swipe up from the bottom, you have all of your different apps. Now, because this is not running WearOS, there are no other apps you can get. You can't get Uber on here, you can't get 18 Birdies, the golf app. You're gonna be stuck with the apps that it comes with. Now, for $65, I think the ones it comes with, they really nailed the fundamentals of what I use probably 95% of the time. We have Samsung Health, which of course shows us all of the stuff I would like to see, our steps, our exercises. You can look into recent workouts, your sleep, your heart rate, cycle tracking, stress levels, blood oxygen levels, different things like that, all tracked on here, and you can find all of that in the Samsung Health app. I really like how that's laid out. As a side note, I'm a really big fan of that. We have the media controller. This controls all media on your phone, not just music. So YouTube videos, things like that, you can control from your watch. Great if your phone's plugged into the aux and you're somewhere else in the room. You can do Find My Phone down here as well. We have weather, of course. The weather updates hourly. And you can also scroll down and see a forecast as well for the hourly forecast. We have a calendar on here. You have a timer, alarm, stopwatch, world clock, calculator, and remote camera. Now the camera remote is interesting because even though it works well for taking photos, and you can even do like a delayed 3-second photo, it doesn't actually show you what is seen on your camera. Like a lot of other, like the Apple Watch or the Galaxy Watch, for example, typically shows you something from the camera. This black screen, just a little shutter in the middle, gets the job done, but it's not gonna help you with any kind of framing if you are trying to be in the shot. So that's the interface. Does basically everything that I would want it to, with no major exceptions, other than I do wish the side button was a little bit more functional. Like just having one button there, You think you could like double press, triple press, press and hold, and really customize those functions, but at least right now, I'm not seeing that function on here. So moving on to that second question of why did Samsung choose this design? Like, what is it capable of? What is it not capable of? So this design right here is very subtle, very comfortable as well because it's not round. It kind of just goes like a band on your wrist, and so takes up a smaller profile. I never have like the wrist flexion like discomfort you get from some other watches, so it really works quite well there. I also never accidentally hit the button. The button is very low profile, so again, flexing your wrist back never really does anything there. It does have a 1.6-inch AMOLED display on the front, like I said before, which looks great, very bright, very vibrant, very responsive. I'm impressed with that. For a little fitness tracker of this price point, I think the display is really one of the highlights. Looking on the right side, we have our button like I showed you before, and a little barometer that can do different things for like elevation, stair tracking, different things like that kind of. And of course, on the back, we have our 2 nodes for the charger. The charger is it's a magnetic thing, so this is not like what you'd expect from a typical Galaxy Watch. This is much more in line with the previous Fit devices. So it magnetically snaps onto this charger, which means you cannot charge it wirelessly on the back of your phone or use most other Galaxy Watch chargers or any other Galaxy Watch chargers. You really need this little one that it comes with. It does charge fairly quickly though, and the battery, like I said, lasts a long time, so I don't really view that as any kind of real drawback. Then we have our health sensor array in the middle, so you can see the LEDs, green and red. One thing this does not have that I wish it did have, which makes sense, it's a flagship feature on the new Galaxy Watch 6, is the new infrared LEDs that they're using to track your heart rate. This has the old ones, which are much more visible, which means at night, if you roll over, sometimes you can see that and it could potentially wake you up. I got used to it, doesn't really bother me, but it's a nice feature on the Galaxy Watch 6 that you don't see here. Additionally, we have our straps, our little watch straps here. These don't have a traditional watch like 20mm strap. Instead, we have a little quick release button there. So Samsung proprietary straps. I'm sure there will be some aftermarket ones coming very soon. But for now, we've got a couple different colors you can choose from. There's also 3 different colors of this device, by the way, as you can see right here. And on the side, we have sandblasted aluminum. So not like the most durable, but very nice and light, and it's still made of metal. And overall, I'm quite happy with this design. Oh, and by the way, this also has an IP68 rating and 5 atmospheres of water resistance, which means it's fine for swimming and showering and washing your hands and stuff like that. So, of course, the third question that we had in the beginning, how accurate is this device? Something small, something cheap, something with a very simple heart rate sensor on the back. Well, I've been wearing it, like I said, for about 2 weeks. I've tracked the sleep, I've tracked the heart rate on workouts, everything I've been doing, really tracking a lot with this device. Starting off with the sleep tracking, this is always a really ambiguous one because every device is so different. So really all I wanted to look at here is how good is the sleep score? Is it somewhat reliable compared to a Whoop strap, which is generally considered a very reliable device, at least a much more expensive device that usually does a pretty good job. And I find that the scores are actually quite similar. When I had a worse night of sleep, it went down a little bit. Better nights, they both went up a little bit. And they actually had a fairly similar level as well. So some devices out there, if you just fall asleep at all, I swear they give you a sleep score of 100. These both had like a pretty similar like 80s, upper 80s score, which I was pretty happy with the sleep tracking there.
All right, so this is interesting. Here's my workout. I was wearing the Polar H10 heart rate strap to compare, and if we go down to the bottom and I say show on phone, a lot of my other workouts were syncing just fine with my Galaxy S24 Ultra, but this right here, this workout, for some reason doesn't do that. Every time I say show on phone, it just goes back to the Samsung health page there. It's not able to do that. So what I want to do here is just compare the average and the max heart rate. We can look at the graph in general. And so I have right here, we have 126 beats per minute average and a max of 145. And then on the Polar H10, it says 127 beats per minute. So almost the same for the average, just 1 beat per minute more. And 170 was the max, which, as you can see here, is a bit higher than we were registering on the Galaxy Fit3. The reason for that is because in the beginning of this workout, you can see a very high spike right there. I did a bit of an interval sprint in the beginning, which generally is something that wearables like this, optical heart rate sensors, really struggle to catch. But the rest of the run, you can see, was really quite similar. I guess that's the best heart rate graph comparison I can do right now.
Now, some other things to note with the workout tracking here. This does have auto workout tracking. So if you just start walking, running, biking, really walking is the one that I would do the most, that I would rely on that. It'll just automatically start tracking you. Now, this does not have a GPS on board. A big drawback in my opinion. I really wish that it did. I wouldn't mind if it was maybe 50% more expensive if they added GPS. I think that would really be a huge benefit because you really do have to bring your phone with you on any kind of run or walk or whatever in order to have connected GPS so it syncs up everything in Samsung Health. This does also have fall detection. I think that could be a really big benefit for any older relatives. Again, just a little more peace of mind. This will detect when you fall, ask them, do you need help? Or there's an SOS feature as well. If you press the button 5 times, it'll contact your emergency contact that you set up in your phone. So, talking about the battery life on this watch, they claim it's 13 days. Of course, that's going to depend a lot on how you set it up. For me, I have sleep tracking. I have continuous heart rate, nonstop, all day, every day. I have basically every tracking you could enable with this. I have it doing all of that. I also have the brightness fairly high, and I'm getting about 5, 6, 7 days of battery life with these settings, which, to be honest, I'm very happy with. It's not the full 13. I'm disappointed I didn't get maybe 8 or 9 days out of that, but 5 to 7 days means I'm charging this up once a week. And like I said, it charges fairly quickly, so maybe I'm making breakfast, I shower, whatever, I charge this up, and I'm good to go for a week. I think that's a pretty big advantage over most other Galaxy Watches or Apple Watches that have you charging it either every day or maybe at best every other day. So lastly, how is this different from the Galaxy Watch 6? Obviously, the price is going to be a big one. This is $65, maybe $75 or $80, depending on if you don't see that sale. I'm seeing $65 right now. That's how much I paid for this as well. But compared to the Galaxy Watch 6, the base model, it's around $250 to $280. So a really sizable savings you'd be getting by choosing a smaller device like this. But there are plenty of compromises. You don't get a microphone and a speaker, which means no voice assistant, no phone calls, no text dictation, only haptic feedback, and obviously touchscreen input. As far as text replies go, you cannot type anything. You're going to be stuck with the quick replies, like I said. You also cannot see what the camera sees with remote shutter. Again, not a huge deal, not a big deal breaker in my opinion. But what I do wish this had was NFC for Samsung Pay. This doesn't have any type of contactless payment. You're going to have to use your phone for that. This also doesn't have Wi-Fi. It really relies only on Bluetooth to connect to your phone to get all of the information that it needs. So if you don't have your phone with you, this is it can still track things, it can still tell you the time, but it won't get notifications, it won't update the weather, it won't do anything like that. And probably the last thing that, again, is not a big deal for me is that it doesn't have the more advanced health features like ECG or body composition. Personally, I don't use those especially often for myself, but if you're somebody that really wants ECG, obviously this is not going to be it. So one more strange thing to note about the Galaxy Fit3 is that it's not rolling out globally all at once. You can still buy it in the United States. It's being sold on Amazon and on eBay, but you're not going to be able to buy it from Samsung's website in the United States, which I thought was a little bit strange. So I just bought the international model on Amazon. I'll link that down below. Like I said, it's $65 right now. And I don't know if Samsung just doesn't want to kind of undercut their sales of the Galaxy Watch 6, but I really think a device like this would perform very well in the United States. So if you want to buy it, Amazon's your way to do that. But other than those things, if you want something that does basically the fundamentals, everything that I would really want from a wearable, 95% of what I do is going to be just tracking health, getting notifications, tracking workouts, checking the weather, calendar, music controls. This does all of that, which makes it a very compelling buy for anybody that I think is going to be either a first-time buyer of any kind of wearable. Maybe if you want to get a gift for somebody, this is a great idea. Or if you're just trying to get started in becoming healthier, losing weight, getting more fit, this is a really beginner-friendly device that makes it very easy and very accessible for more people to not have to spend $400 to start tracking your health. So that's a Galaxy Fit 3. I wish I had GPS. That's really my biggest complaint on this device. But other than that, I'm pretty impressed with this. Let me know what you think about the Samsung Galaxy Fit 3. Would you buy it? What do you wish it had? And do you want me to do a more in-depth comparison between this and any other device? The Mi Band, the Galaxy Watch 6, whatever. Leave a comment below and let me know what I should compare it to. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Michael Bryan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.